everybody? I am ABOMB here with my amazing co-host and longtime friend, Cryptodilly, and we have an absolute legend in the space today to get down and dirty with the speculation, because after all, this is Speculation Alley. So welcome, please, with as many emoji claps as you can do for Diamondhandz, the man, the myth, the legend that gets into the speculation pretty much as deep as anybody else, I would say. So we're very happy to have him here. Again, we are Speculation Alley. What we do is get into the nitty gritty 10K TF community speculating, I guess you could say, and lead rabbit holes maybe a little bit deeper than they should go, but for good reasons, because sometimes at the end of them, they are actually there, like getting ApeCoin and whatnot. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to the good co-host and legend, Cryptodilly. What's going on, brother?
Not a lot, man. Been an interesting week, brother. So we're going to start this thing off actually doing a little recap of what happened this past week. Super exciting stuff, like maybe a little bit disheartening, but the video, obviously, of the mech going into battle against the kaiju, he made love and just got destroyed. And after that, we were kind of left with a cliffhanger, and there was one final tweet from Wagmi-san that day, which was a birthday cake that was smashed, right? So we're all like, wow, this sucks. We're just like destroyed. And
on the birthday.
Yeah, man, like 1 year anniversary. Happy birthday, Wagmi-san. That's when I got my high tops and my day pack and my Genesis items that I'm going to hold on for life. But we had some breaking news, and I think first on the scene was Queso, man. Like, it wasn't until the next day on Friday. Like, we're all just chilling. We're like, dude, I can't believe, Wagmi-san rugged us again so damn hard. And, Queso just digs up this, post and actually breaks down the picture, highlighting the way that the light hits the cake and the different items. We'll post the tweet right here, but it says Burn King for PFP, right? Now, you got to put the tinfoil hat on and you got to ride with it, ride the waves. But when you actually dig in and you start to piece it together, there's a lot of different things that make sense. So massive props to Queso, brother. Thanks for highlighting that and bringing that to our attention. And also, the guy has been on top of it with Alpha. The guy dropped, the Happy Birthday Tales password for mech.battle.town to get the zip drive. Wow. He's just been all over it, right? So give you your flowers, Queso. Good stuff, man. We appreciate you. Keep doing it. You're one of our detectives in the community, along with Crypt Hot. That guy's been dropping alpha left and right. Yep. And so super massive kudos to both of you guys. But with that, let's get into some speculation real quick, because we had the damn show immediately break the news, break the story. They jumped right in. And I'm over here tinfoiling with ABOMB on the phone, like, dude, we're getting this, we're getting that. And the first thing that got leaked or, thought about was mechs, right? So I don't know. When you think of a PFP, and I would love to hear some input here, but when I first saw Burn King for Genesis or Burn King for PFP, I immediately thought of Kagami's. And I remember seeing multiple videos highlighting this on May 5th. Actually, on January 20th, 10KTF Shop actually did a tweet just of Kagami's on the floor with the lighting kind of flickering and seeing these mirrors with 10KTF on it. And then it was much later on May 5th that we actually saw the Genesis edition of 893. And then it flashes Kagami in red letters. And so I don't know, there's the speculation right now going around of mechs, and I'll get into that in a minute. But ABOMB, do you think it's mechs, or do you think that, it's more related to 893 and Kagami's?
I think, honestly, it might be more related to Kagami's. I don't know if we're there yet. There's a whole bunch of speculation that we'll get into based around the other, Burn, Genesis or Burn King for PFP. But I think it's Kagami's, honestly, because when Modest and I got kidnapped, when we first saw the boxes, outside before we saw the mech. We thought the boxes were the alpha straight up. So we saw those boxes, and it actually was written in Japanese on the side of those boxes was written Kagami. So the fact that the Kagamis were next to the mech, I mean, maybe it's both. I like, I don't really know. It's hard to say.
Oh, I actually remember that. It said mirror, right? Mirror right on the box.
Right.
Let's
Kagami, but Japanese.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good highlight. That's a good point. And I could see where the community kind of like took that and ran with it, because I'll post the image right here, but it says, let me just read it off real quick. It's this was posted in NFT NYC. It was a banner, and it literally says, what does it say? It says, wow, I can't even read this right now. It's ultimate power, but if it happens, the mechs are the key. Oh, beware of ultimate power, but if it happens, the mechs are the key, right? And I think that's where a lot of the speculation kind of started about mechs being what it is. And it makes sense because the link to Beeple, Beeple's been posting a lot about mechs. And then also it was during the time whenever, the mech got destroyed in battle. And so it makes a lot of sense that, we would need a lot of mechs in order to defeat the kaiju, right? So what are some mirrors going to fucking do against the Battle of New Tokyo, right?
Hey, man, we'll shine the light from the sun and reflect it at them. You know what I mean? With those mirrors, it'll get them. That's what you do.
But one thing that gets me excited, though, was like the speculation going that direction about mechs. I was like, oh, like maybe that's what it is. I really love the speculation that, the mechs are the key. And if we do get mech PFPs, for example, I'm more in love with the idea of the PFP being the token that allows us access to participate in the other side. And that was something that Maybe said on the Damn Show. And I'm in love with that theory, because what I have been speculating on for a while is that we're going to get land and we're going to get it in the other side. I just didn't know how to piece the two together with, who gets it and why do they get it, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. And one of the key elements that, we've seen is that, whenever Yuga Labs actually released it, they actually released the pitch deck and they showed exactly what the breakdown and the allocation is. And it says, the 100,000 other deeds will be exclusively rewarded to Voyagers who hold other deeds and contribute to the development of the other side. Okay, so that's really important whenever we're thinking about this, because, well, if we get a PFP and it gives us access to the other side, well, that would actually gain that, reputation that we're actually participating in the Voyager's journey. And if we're participating in the Voyager's journey, that completes the thesis that we would actually be able to receive land at the end of this thing, right?
And not only that, the dots. He's done it finally.
And it makes sense too. Like, if no one's a non-believer, I think everyone's a believer at this point. I was listening to the Spaces the other day, and I was like, damn, like everyone's under a consensus that we're getting land.
We're getting it. It's no question. Okay.
So super exciting stuff. I've been kind of tinfoiling pretty hard. And if it is a mech PFP, for example, I think that, there's no reason why it wouldn't be soulbound. If it was a soulbound NFT, what that means is that it would actually make it to where it's a deflationary asset. If we are burning Genesis items to actually receive this PFP that gives us access to participate in the other side in the Voyager's journey, well, it would only make sense that, Yuga Labs and we knew would only want limited number of people to have those plots of land, because if you have a high number of unique ownership, right, that means that it's like 1-to-1, right? So if you have a Genesis item, you burn it and it's soul bound, that creates that supply of unique ownership being very, very high, right? Yep. So that's what gets me excited about the soul bound idea and actually making it make sense in long term. But are we going to get a mech PFP? I don't know. It makes a hell of a lot more sense to me that we get these mirrors, right? Like you said, whenever you and Modest were actually abducted, when you got the bag taken off your head and you were in that room with the mech for the first time, those boxes said mirror. And not only that, but they've leaked so much footage of these Kagamis on the floor. And here's another link. on May 5th, whenever they first said the Genesis edition of 893, the last like still image is Boss Ape, and it's flashing his PFP on the Kagami, right?
True.
I don't know. So, Diamond, do you have some ideas? Or ABOMB?
Oh,
let's go.
Okay. Now he got me going. Okay, okay. What if the Kagami is a representation of the actual head of the mech, and that is what like your PFP would live on? So in a way, like think about this in a sense of interactive like operability without more apparatus, right? So if you're gonna do that and you have your PFP at your house and you can just like have it there, and you're like, okay, this is what is currently playing the mech. This is what is representing my mech at the current time, and you can switch that shit. That's gonna be crazy. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over. To Diamond. What's up, fam? How are you doing, brother?
So Boss Wolf's fucking with me again. I got, he's over here messing around, rugging me off the stream. My bad. But that being said, I apologize about that. But no, with the Kagami theory, I think like that. I ran hard on a Beeple theory the last couple days, right? On this Beeple mech theory. Do I actually think that's going to come to fruition? I mentioned it earlier in the space. A lot of people didn't catch the piece that I'm like, this is going to take some time. Like, I don't think that the mechs are just going to randomly be dropped on us next week. That is not my thought, to be clear. And I don't know if everyone picked that up from New Tokyo News yesterday. But, like, I think this is going to take a little time, y'all. It's going to take time to conjoin with what's going on with the other side. And we know the other side's in, like, stage 2? They just finished stage 1 of what they're trying to do. So, like...
Codex is next.
Right. And so, like, just understanding that, like, everyone just needs to, while we all want it right now, right? That's the want of NFTs. Just in a reality time perspective, I think it's going to take a little bit. So, yeah, maybe it is something that's like a quick little drop. The team knows we've been waiting on some physicals, and those Kagamis have been in play for a long time, right? Like,
with that being said, I mean, think about this. On December 16th, we saw that the mech was pictured, and it was chasing the not illegal goods truck, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we saw the exact same depiction of that on September 16th of the mech chasing the truck, right? If you correlate those two together, what's said under the December 16th post on Twitter is it says physicals are based on distribution and participation in the Battletown, right? Or in Battle for New Tokyo, right? And that's the specific verbiage, right? But that makes a lot more sense that Kagamis are in play with that, rhetoric, right? And with that being said, I mean, we have all these different like points that correlate more towards that. I think the mechs is a great idea, but the same exact thing about Ape, right? Whenever we saw the sale coming soon and Ape coin was there, well, that was in March. Did it actually come into play 4 months later, right? So it was a very long time. So they leaked this stuff out. We dig deep, we discover, and it's speculation, pure speculation, right? And I want to make that point real quick on the show. This is not financial advice. Do not just run over and FOMO into whatever we're talking about. I noticed like some comments and different things like, dude, I got to buy a Nitro Pass from our last video. And I'm like, hey, do what you want. But so any ideas on that? I mean, obviously Kagami's in play. I mean, do you guys have any other like thoughts on what could be?
I'm going to let Diamond take it. What are your thoughts, man? Based around Kagamis or mechs, I guess.
Boss Wolf's kind of rugged the hell out of me there. So, I don't have the full temperature of the conversation if I was being transparent, but like, y'all know I got a lot of tinfoil here. So like a lot of speculation whenever you're ready,
Well, let's do this. Yeah. Let's change gears a little bit. Obviously what we wanted to really get into today is about Gucci material. Okay. So, I want to give a little backstory for those who may be just watching this video for the first time. They're just watching and becoming part of the project. So Gucci kind of hopped into the scene. Their first project that they actually did was with Super Plastic. And that project actually turned into Super Gucci. And that was their first project that they kind of like started to build their own community and accumulate followers and build out their Discord. Once they had those followers, that was whenever they had the transition, the shift, if you will, of introduction to Wagmi-san and being able to filter that in and actually bridge the two communities. And the way that was actually distributed is they did a snapshot of OGs within the 10KTF community. And then they also set up an allow list so people could actually register and be a part of it. But a lot of people were hesitant because it was a 1 ETH mint for this mint pass, and you had to burn it. So we didn't really know. There was nothing that's been done like that before. And so it wasn't until March 9th that we got airdrop passes as OGs of the community. And then the Super Gucci holders, they were rewarded for being a part of Gucci early on, right? And so they also got rewarded. Well, then the allow list sale came, they sold out, and then we were able to craft our Gucci grails, which now you've seen all over the place. You have apes that are dressed in Aria and Love Parade, right? So that's kind of the little bit of the backstory of Gucci grails and Gucci. Well, fast forward, it was on July 21st, after the shop burnt down, that we get a letter from Alessandro Michele.
There you go.
Michele.
And,
this is where, we started to get some speculation because when Moon is running through a back alley and she is, actually sending off these messages as letters, and she puts them in this red mailbox, right? And this is also the same day that we see Wagmi-san, like as a game character, 3D animated, like running through the streets of New Tokyo. With a lot of the same, a lot of speculation of Otherside mechanics and, the beautiful rendering of New Tokyo, right? So we'll get into some speculation about that, but building out on that story a little bit, we actually, participated in Battletown, and there was a mission where you actually had to submit your Gucci Grail to the Battletown mission. And those that actually submitted their Gucci Grails, they were actually rewarded Gucci Vault material. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. There's a lot that could be read into on the Gucci material, but before I get into the specifics about the item on OpenSea and the NFT itself, ABOMB, Diamondhandz, you got any speculation on what Win Moon was doing, sending off letters, and what, this rendering of a game is?
Diamond, please, you're our guest. I'll let you take it away.
We were long speculated that they've been building a AAA studio style game, right? And so we've also looked at what was going on with Battle.town, and when Battle.town came out, we're like, well, is this New Tokyo? What is this, right? It kind of, they do, the 10KTF team does a wonderful job of throwing us for a curveball along this well plotted journey that we're on, right? Well plotted on their end. For us, man, it's all over the place, So just looking at that, with the team, what they've done is amazing to date. But I do think with the Gucci cloth, there's some goodies, headed our way. Mike Powder, .eth, the creator of Magic for Gucci, it just does a phenomenal job of touching base and staying in tune with our community. At least with he'll hit likes on my account sometimes, and I'm like, oh, that's right on, Mike. Good to see you again, but everything's good, and so whatever that is, he's paying attention to the speculation, to the alpha, to whatever we're doing over here, with a brand like that, to have that type of cohesion. He's real busy in whatever he's doing too. With Super Gucci, they've had a couple drops recently with those physical drops that they're doing, the little statues or the figurines, just really phenomenal creative quality work, right? Where for the space in a space of creatives, it's nice to see things kind of outside the box being dropped for community members. But those Kagamis, once again, not to tie it right back to our old speculation, but we've been waiting for some physical items. I try to mention that, and having that physical piece in my house, it really looks like that's something they can ship out. And when we looked at those, there are indicators that those do have international trade symbols on them that would indicate that they're appropriate to ship internationally, right, to the EU, right, because they are a digital product, so they needed to be cleared, right? So with that, we see that these are ready for They've been sitting there in the shop for how long with the dark, ominous video? And I think it's just our opportunity at 10KTF to finally get that high level quality physical, right? I would be insanely hyped if it ended up being connected to a Kagami. But that being said, I don't think that solves we also got to continue to think about how it plays into the larger storyline and the lore, because we know that's such an important piece of everything that 10KTF does, right? Yep. And so where do these conjunctions map? I'm not sure. Maybe they throw a quick loop at us, but I'm hopeful, right? As much as I want everything right now, I'm hopeful that they're going to take some time, and they've been really diligent about making sure that they work everything into the lore appropriately. I mean, we skip through stuff all the time in our speculation, but for them hitting each piece and really building a story for each piece in the larger story, it's super important, So, and it's what we're all here for, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, obviously with the Gucci Vault material, I think that diving right into the details is something that's really particular, right? Like if you look on the actual NFT itself, whenever it got dropped into our wallet, extremely colorful, and it goes right on theme with their pattern, right? And I honestly, just as a side note, I think that this is their like Web3 branding, right? Like you have their Gucci branding in Web2, but like this is their Web3, like the wavy, colors. That's their Web3 branding, 100%. And we're gonna, like, you wear this in public. Like, imagine the inner lining of a suit with this shit on it. Like, dude, that's fly, right? But let's go right here. Like looking at the material itself on the side of the NFT, you see physical material. Okay. So the speculation, I mean, that's why Diamondhandz keeps on referring back to physicals, is because it says physical material right here. And then it also says limited edition physical right above the Gucci Vault material, like lettering. Right. So, reading a little bit deeper into this, I think just kind of like looking at the different levels of the NFT and the metadata, it says that it's a 10KTF stockroom collection, finest tools and materials held by esteemed customers of 10KTF for use in future endeavors. Gucci Vault material is a level 1 material. This magical ethereal material will protect you from those that are adversarial. Used in combination with other tools and materials, customers will be able to advance Wagmi-san's goals. So it's a consumable, it's a level 1. Okay. What we do know about the stockroom and what we do know about consumables, that they're burned into other things, right? If we look at cloth or we look at rubber, we look at these different items that have been crafted within the stockroom to complete different blanks. You can use these items and create something new, right? And we know that level 2, we have combat crates, which have yielded these combat boots, helmets, Kevlar vest, sock full of doorknobs, which is Diamondhand's favorite. You have all these different items, right? Let's go! But
watch out, he's gonna get you.
Oh, did you guys see him, spinning it on top of the kaiju? Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah, I did notice that big hype spin up top. I was like, whoever's up top with that centrifugal motion, they know what they're doing. They're beating the hell out of that kaiju with that big swing. You got to get it really running, y'all. You can do some damage with this. I'm telling you. Like my brother with the tennis ball in these back in the day, we used to go ham on each other for a little while. Bruises were enormous stuff. Yeah, go to school the next week. My teachers are like, "What are your parents doing to you?" And it's like, "No, y'all. Me and my brother, you put me in a tough little." Yeah, right. I'm all bruised up. We're just having fun.
Started out like this size, and after you're done like swinging it, and it gets like this long, it's like just stretched out to shit. You can't even use it anymore. I know exactly what you're talking about, man.
Right.
Yes.
Please tell me there's actually a doorknob in there, though, right?
Multiple.
They are doorknobs. You better watch out, motherfucking kaiju. Diamondhandz coming for you, bro.
Love that. Love it. But going back to the Gucci Vault material, so we know that it's obviously, level 1, and you can use it in combination for, with tools. One thing that I noticed by reading into this a little bit, though, just for facts, is that I looked at like the tools, right? So like the thimble. And it says the same description. It says that used in combination with other tools and materials, right? So there's a lot of different overlap with the description of the different items within the stockroom. And so I almost think that like you don't want to read too deep into that specific information, right? And with that being said, it is a level 1 material, right? So we know for a fact that more PFP projects are going to be partnered with and that they're going to be included as part of the ecosystem. So, you know, as my first piece of, I guess, speculation is I have always thought that once we first got the material, that we would actually be able to create certain items within the stockroom that would actually be paired up with this Gucci material that would be something as a buff, right? Anybody who's played video games, they know that you can like buff items and make it so that way it's more advanced or whatever it might be. Well, imagine like you get a combat, you know, helmet, right? Or not a combat helmet because it's a level 1, but let's say that you get, you know, a comfy sweater, right? And you buff it with the Gucci material, and then you're able to not only buff the item and get like added on the metadata that you've actually used the Gucci material for that item whenever it's crafted. It'll burn the Gucci material, and then you also have the opportunity to have a physical from Gucci as well. So it'll actually reduce the supply and eliminate that from the ecosystem.
And can I hit on this really quick, Dilly? Like the dynamic NFTs, which is what we've kind of been hitting on in some of the recent podcasts, and other community members have been hitting on as well. So seeing something like that, where you maybe already have an existing, like you're saying, a crafted comfy hoodie potentially. Like, are you saying it's already crafted, or is it just blank? Because either way, that would still like it would be more dynamic, obviously, if it was an already crafted item. And then you could pair it to that item and it buffs it up and does whatever. But regardless, seeing that sort of mechanic, we still have yet to see anything like that in NFTs as far as I'm aware, right? Like we haven't seen like a huge name brand kind of come in, put their name on something that's a burnable item that will also yield a physical while that item being used specifically in this like storyline. It's very new in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree with that, but I don't know, I think
it's complicated. Like the idea that you could actually craft with an extension that's a buff, right? But I honestly think that this team is pushing the narrative of, you know, disruption, and they want to do something that's continually developing the space. I truly believe that you'll be able to craft an item with the Gucci material in it, and you'd also be able to go back and use an already crafted item to buff it. Like, I think that it's not out of question that the team is capable of doing that. But it makes sense that you'd craft the item first and then add it as a buff to make it simple, for sure.
Right. Diamond, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, we need to continue to think about deflationary forces in this project as they continue to think WAGMI and grow out. And with that, like, it all plays back, like, so I don't know, like, I kind of like the original Gucci theory, right? So some of that OG stuff that we had, like looking through it through these lenses, like to take it back historically, we can't forget about the original Henny theory, right? With what's going on with the currency and Damien Hirst. Like, that was a huge original theory of mine. I had a whole bubblegum theory worked out that was talking about deflationary forces, because that's what you had to do for the currency. You could either keep Damien Hirst the currency print, his first NFT, right? Or he did all the physical, publications of his art, right? Did all of them, ran them all, took pictures of them, then NFT'd those. And then you, at one point, I think it was a few months back, you had to decide whether you wanted to burn that or you wanted the physical item, right? And then also looking at what Artifact does with their forging, right? They allow you to keep that NFT in the long term, but like once you forge that out, now the forging side of it's done. And the forge window is a select window. So if you're not around in the project and hot in the alpha at that time, you're not getting in that burn. You won't get that physical item. So like participation is important, and participation at 10KTF has always been pretty important. You got to be paying attention at some level, right? And so it's just things to continue to think about. I think it makes sense, right? I think as far as like that burn aspect, for those NFTs with what's going on with Alessandro Michele, Gucci, to continue to move that product cycle through, right? Maybe even bring in additional artists in the future. We love you, Gucci, right? But we also know that decentralization in the future isn't tied to one product, company, or space, right? So like, who's going to come in next after that? Like, I don't know who's leading Louis Vuitton right now, but with what knowing that we knew has a previous history working with Louis Vuitton, I'm not sure who the creative director is there. I mean, rest in peace. They're trying to decide who's going to be the new creative director post the death of Virgil Abloh. And so, like, with the men's side of things, and so, like, with that, like, what's going on with all of, I don't know, right? So it would be a wonderful step into if Louis Vuitton's really coming into NFTs, new creative director coming in, at least on the men's side of things. I'm not sure how the whole fashion house actually works. I'm not high native fashion like that, if you can't tell by the mullet. Okay, but that being said, there's just some things working there where, like, what a great opportunity to kind of introduce them to the larger space and to what's going on in NFT nativity and what we're trying to build out here as well. I think it could be cool.
I think one thing to really think about real quick, ABOMB, is altitude, right? And taking a step back on just the whole ecosystem as a whole. You have Altitude, who is bridging Web 2 to Web 3. And when you think about brands and the way that We Knew has been collectively bringing more and more brands into Web 3, like, they're going to be able to rotate like different brands throughout this project, and making a consumable, like a burn like material, makes a lot of sense, because then you can actually introduce other people into the storyline continuously, and it becomes a part of the business model, right? Like, if they want June Ambrose from, Puma, and they want that to actually Adam Petrick, their Gucci, or I mean the Puma material, to actually be conceptualized and then put into the shop, like, what better way than to have like these items that could actually like represent their brand within the ecosystem and stay there, right? Without having to create more NFTs and increase your supply, right? You're able to attach them to already existing asset within the collection and buff it, right? And that makes a lot of sense on the broader scale as you kind of stretch this thing out, right?
And my bad, I wasn't trying to skip past what Puma's doing. I think that's fucking on the head right there, Dilly. To be honest, that's definitely their next play, right? Is through Puma. We already know Puma has a special role in the Discord. There's something happening there. We don't know what, right? But I'm always thinking to that next tier, right? Trying to, like, not that we're gonna give Shower Puma in love for sure, right? And I love that you had that like built in for sure. But trying to think about how this could continue to roll out even past Puma, right? And that continuous cycle of bringing in creators. And brands and products. I think it's something that just creates a beautiful vehicle for the company and for us as holders within the NFTs.
ABOMB, what were you gonna hit on? Did I take it from you?
No, you did. You stole a little. No. You're good. It's just interesting because like culture is being tokenized right now. Is that's the basic way of understanding it. I have like scab shop passes where I can go. I have to bid on the actual tattoo that I'm gonna get rendered onto my skin, but by having this shop pass, I have access to tattoo artists that Justin Bieber, if he sets up a fucking appointment with, he has to wait like 4 years to get tatted up by Dr. Wu, right? But like, it's interesting how tokenizing culture is giving access to a form of culture that individuals want to be a part of. And what's even further interesting about this, even more than that, is that there's a project such as 10KTF that is onboarding, such as individuals like myself, you, and Diamondhandz, who I grew up with Dilly, and I know a little bit about Diamondhandz. I don't think any of us are dripped in Gucci every fucking day. So at the end of the day, they've onboarded us because of our already existing, I guess, care and love for this project here. So it's a really smart thing to do if you're thinking about like, okay, this is a form of culture that is a hard entry point. I mean, the mint pass is 1 ETH. So by onboarding it to people and utilizing people that are true fans and will actually like care about this thing because they care about this other entity, it's really bridging cultures and like seeing which cultures can coincide closely together, in my opinion, because right, like we are all a bunch of fucking degens at the end of the day, right? Like my bong is sitting right here, so let's just call it what it is. But like at the end of the day, like I think we are understanding as well as of like the markets and the form of what we as consumers now, and we are some of the biggest consumers, being like in our mid to late 30s at this point. So it's interesting to see that tokenizing culture is taking place, and with high-end brands, and how a brand that maybe isn't even really well known in the space can onboard individuals that never would have had a Gucci NFT. I would have never gotten a Gucci NFT if 10KTF did not have this partnership in play. I'm not incentivized to do so as a consumer. I'm not like, oh, now I got my Gucci's, you know what I mean? Like I don't have that. So, but I don't know. I think by tokenizing culture and seeing that, we're only going to see it more, and giving people access that want access to that type of stuff. Because think about it, if I own this Gucci NFT, and we've already gotten live events and live physicals from IRL events we've seen from the community. So having the access to go to Italy as well, to the museum that they have up there, and just saying like, come on in. Like, it's like, dude, like I would love to go do that. I love museums. And if you can outsource that to somebody else that's maybe in Italy, like a friend of mine takes a trip, I'm like, yo, dude, take this Gucci pass or my Grail and show them this, and you can get in for free. Like that's an amazing utility to have in and of itself, to be able to share that culture with other people. So that's my soapbox. Sorry for the long bullshit, guys.
I saw you throwing up the peace sign. Go for it, Diamond.
Hey, the peace sign on our spaces is our low key, like, let you know you got some alpha. You want to come through on the next go one, all right? Just so everybody knows it's tuning in.
Yes.
But yeah, and that's just one facet of our growth, right? That token gated access piece, and it's a huge piece of what we can look forward to in WeNew's future, right? Being a piece of this ecosystem, knowing they're partnered with Endeavor, knowing they're partnered with Universal Music, with IMG. Right? Like all these bigger companies that they're bridged with Time Magazine, right? They have some stuff in their larger vault. It's that synergy, that symbiosis that we can build as we build as individual community members too, right? Like if you were to tell me that I'd have a character in 10KTF's lore that's just like Alessandro Michele, right? I would have told you to fuck off 6 months ago, even up to 3 weeks ago when I fucking first saw it. I would have told you to go straight, go fuck off. So for whatever that is, and that synergy and symbiosis, like you just said, Avon, I ain't down with Gucci, but now that 10KTF's Gucci, I'm fucking all the way down with Gucci.
We're Gucci, baby.
I've never owned any Puma in my life. Guess what? As soon as 10KTF drops some Puma, I'm buying some. I'm a fucking Nike guy. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as 10KTF drops Puma, I'm getting me some Puma. That's for damn sure. And now let me tell you about what's going on with Puma over here, because I got info, I got alpha, and it's what I do, right? It's part of who I am now. And that branding piece, that's marketing you can't pay for.
Exactly. And that's precisely what I'm talking about, is like that ability to easily onboard individuals that maybe don't have a large awareness or care for your brand. And by having a brand that they already have this deep nostalgic connection to and onboarding it, it's just a genius play by them. But let's get into some more speculation, guys. What is the like? There's been so much stuff, like if the cloth is magical, and with Dilly just reading it, that it's going to defend us from our foes. Like there's a specific word in there. I know you're saying don't read into like the mechanics of it because they're shared amongst other materials and tools within the ecosystem, but the way that the description is there, where it says it'll defend you, what does that mean? Like, because you could have an offensive item defend you, or you could have a shield defend you. So what is that?
Well, it says specifically, this magical ethereal material will protect you from those that are adversarial. Right.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about not reading into that. I definitely think you should read into that. I think that
don't read into
the stuff that, obviously overlaps with everything else within the collection. Right. But I mean, I think we are in a battle against a damn kaiju, like a big dumb kaiju that just wrecked our world. Wrecked our world on my anniversary. Right. And honestly, I think that that's one of the big things, is that we're going to see these materials come into play on a big way. And I think that not only will it be a buff, but it will help us in the battle in Battletown. Right. So kind of furthering my my idea is that obviously we can buff these different crafted items that we already have. Obviously the point allocation for level 2 items is much larger, right? So when you look at the point totals for crafted items, if you can actually go in and you can pick up this Gucci material and then buff your level 1 items, now your point allocation going into Battletown is more equal to a level 2 item, right? So it gives you that opportunity to kind of like, you know, maybe the intent was that, you know, the Gucci material would be a material that's a lower cost item. Obviously, we're seeing it trend towards 0.5, 0.56, you know, at the floor. But if you're able to go in there and you can buff an item, that means a lot to a lot of people that maybe can't afford to get a level 2 item. So I think that's a really interesting component. What do you guys think?
I think that sounds like selling some level up.
Dude, that's, yeah, right? Like, that's literally, you took the words out of my mouth, Diamond. Like, that's precisely a great point that you made for the entry point, saying like, okay, I have all these level 1 items, but now I got rugged by WAGMI because they don't have the bigger loadout of these items. But it's like, okay, well, if you have this other item that can, because, well, okay, yes, we get that and all that, but what about this? I have some deeper speculation. What if you have an epic item and you can do a level up? Can you level up an already epic item? Like, what's that? Like, what are we talking like bat shit then? Does it go like common, uncommon, rare, epic, and then bat shit at the top? Like, is that where we're going? Because I want some bat shit materials then, you know what I mean? Or some bat shit crafted items, because let's go.
When I think about that, I think like, we'll even do our flamethrowers, like our percentage of points. We don't know how much quote unquote damage they're bringing, right? But you've got to assume that an epic flamethrower compared to a common, like that epic's got some goodies and some juice. It's got to have something that elevates it to the goodies, right? Like what makes it special otherwise. And so that facet of a level up, I also think that it's fun to keep it as an open theory, right? So if you wanted to craft those colors onto a Gucci sweatshirt and make that into a physical Gucci drippy ass colored out rainbow, you know what I'm saying? With the three colors,
sick.
Just like, so like keeping it open theory. And like, I don't know if the team has the ability to, you know what I'm saying? But with what they do with open IP, we know it's really important in everything that 10KTF does. So for me, it's like, ooh, that would be drippy, right? So what are the different ways that this could be applied? You know, I think it's important for us to keep in mind too, you know, not limiting it to one facet, but to continue to think like different touches for different things. Maybe it's a physical item. Maybe you burn it for a Kagami or you don't. If we go back and think about the shape of the Gucci ball and the NFT, like the Kagami comparison,
Kagami a little bit.
Yeah. When Ethan laid those over each other, it's like, damn, okay, maybe not. I don't know, right? And then when we think about the mech face and Boss Ape, it's all in my head. But it also, those show dynamicness when they change from tools to Boss Ape, right? So we know that they're super dynamic in themselves. So, that's it. Sorry.
I love what you're saying. Okay, I want to get into two subjects because you brought up the physical side of this and the likelihood, like the most likely candidates of getting a Gucci physical from this is, I'm going to say, either the ones that were crafted for super Gucci holders, which was the ceramic little dude, which was cool, or it's going to be a bag, sweater, some sort of accessory of that kind, of that nature. And that's my thoughts for that. We'll get into that in a minute. But what you had me like going into now is like looking at sort of, again, these game mechanics with all of these things. And if you're going to be able to craft them, what that, I don't know, it's going to be very, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see the long term of what this does to the market when it is figured out what these items can do. Because right now we've been in the dark for so long with Gucci material that we've seen the price kind of go through. It stayed pretty consistent actually for quite some time, but like we've seen people thud it, to say the least. But I think that if we have any sort of information that drops that is regarding like either level up sort of idea or being able to combine it or make something completely new that we have not seen, I think that would just explode the like that material, obviously. But my question then would be, what is the lore behind that? Because we don't even really know the lore behind where the combat crates came from, to be honest. Like we didn't craft any of that stuff. So what would be like, if this is a completely new item, what would be the lore behind a new item crafted for Gucci cloth, you know?
I don't know about that. I'll correlate the combat crates real quick. I mean, we saw a fax that went directly from Wagmi-san that says, thank you for your order. That's where he got his Lambo, bro. So he had a massive order that was placed, and that's when he started going to town on crafting some, weapons and some shit to fight this kaiju. But just real quick, going back to a couple points. First, I don't think that you're going to be able to. Yeah, I was throwing them up left and right.
I saw it.
One big thing that I feel like won't happen is I don't think that we're going to be able to level up from a common to an uncommon, or an uncommon to a rare to an epic, because it would actually defeat the ecosystem of people that have actually put in that money to really get to that point and own that piece. And the other, I think of it more as a dynamic NFT where you can actually buff your item for in-game mechanics. I truly believe that that's kind of the direction that this team is going, especially whenever you really start to believe the speculation that the other side is being front run by 10KTF. If you really break down the interoperability of these items within the other side, and you think about what Diamondhandz said with, does an epic flamethrower, pack more of a punch than a common? Right. And with, adding these different consumables and attaching them and burning the asset and then increasing the whatever item that you have by, just putting it on the metadata that this was used and the Gucci material was added on as a buff. Well, now whenever you go to Battletown, it allocates more points. It can be used differently, different things like that. And I think that that's kind of the way that this project is going to shift. Another real quick point is I think that we're going to see a lot of companies come into the space that, it's not about we have a lot of physical products like Gucci, we have Puma, Ben Mayer White with the connection to Adidas bringing them in. And then obviously a lot of other Louis Vuitton and different companies like that. A lot of fashion, right? And a lot of them are actual collectibles for a lot of people. They're high-end merchandise. But I think they're coming here for digital collectibles, right? They want to actually be involved with the ecosystem, accept ApeCoin at their physical locations, and be a part of Web3 culture and the movement that's being built out here. And so I think that it's really we're going to start to see the shift of a lot of brands flowing in, which we already have, but they're going to be, conjoined with these different projects, and it cross-pollinate across all the ecosystem. And that will all converge, in my personal opinion, and the other side, baby, right? Right around Wagmi-san, he'll be dealing it out, dishing it, and, he's going to be the man. Well, he already is, but you know what I mean. Diamondhandz, go for it.
It makes sense. I keep thinking back to when Beeple and Garga met up back in LA a couple months back. That photo that was on Twitter of them kicking it at the Taqueria or wherever they were at, right? There's some things going on there that there's some plans for what's going on in that larger. But what you said about the company bridge, I think that's bringing companies in, right? And the most beautiful thing is what we've done as a community. We have such a big buffer here, right? As far as we speak for the trust that the community, that the project has given us as community members is big time, right? To be out here speaking through all of this, right? But everyone knows that we're true fans at the same time, right? Which provides a level of we're founded on honor. It's what we do. But that being said, we also hope that the companies that they're bringing in are founded on honor and what they're doing, right? So like I've said before, we may be VC backed, but the VCs don't speak for us, right? And so seeing companies that are really putting the work in, Puma showing up at NFT NYC, hooking us all up with shirts, kicking it with us, taking time to ask us how our day was. I remember kicking it with the dude in the full Puma suit, wearing these funky Euro glasses. I didn't grab his name exactly, but taking the time to chop
it was Juniper, bro.
Is that? I don't know, man. But just taking the time to chop it up, right? And the Adidas folks that were at the NFT NYC party, right? And like I said earlier, Mike Powder, he's came through and liked a couple of my posts that are one was talking about Apple, welcoming Apple to the sandbox, Gucci was. And I was like, yeah, well, don't forget, mass adoption also is going to work through mobile phones, in my belief. Once mobile happens, so once we can go sandbox mobile, right, then I think there's some things shaking, and he put a on that, and I was like, oh, fucking A, because when Sandbox announced they were going to accept MacBooks in Sandbox. I put something, a little quote tweet on it for mass adoption. Fingers crossed, hopefully. He put a little like on that. And so you can see the way that they're thinking about the way that this is all going to work, their participation, their ears to the ground. You know, they're participating in the culture. They're not just hovering above it. And we've seen some brands that have tried to hover above and vulture in, right? But they show their stripes immediately, you know? So I think having this bridge with We Knew, our community, what's going on, that's not a shill for We Knew. I think that's a note for everybody to find organic community that you're going to tap in and move with. And credit to Puma for moving in a group of cats too, right? Like they went in Cool Cats and a few other cat projects they're getting down with, where it's like they're showing that they're really not just here playing around, they're really entering the space. And I think there's a lot to be said for that.
I talked about this in our last Puma video about, like, you know, they do $7.7 billion. That's nothing to, like, you know, balk at, right? That's a lot of money, but they're a laggard when you look at the giants of Adidas and Nike. But what a fucking epic play to be the premier provider of 10KTF and build that partnership. I think that, like, big things are coming, not just for, you know, Puma, but I think for brands like Gucci positioning themselves early on like they are. It's a very smart play, and I think the Gucci material is going to be utilized in an epic way that, you know, pushes the narrative for the game mechanics overall. And, you know, speaking to that, I mean, we have the speculation that we're going to get Puma blanks, right? I think the same thing is going to be said with those, is like those will be an item that you could, you know, obviously mint your PFP directly onto. And this is pure speculation, tinfoil on. But I truly believe that, you know, having a blank Puma, well, what's to say that, you know, we don't have future brands come in and they're able to be a part of that ecosystem as well and buff the game mechanics that we're building out as a, you know, a company. And the reason that I think that it speculates so, or the correlation is so in line with the game mechanics, is going back to that video on, I think it was July 21st, of Wagmi-san going through the streets of New Tokyo to go and open this letterbox, right? When you see that video, what's the point? I mean, we have community artwork in the background. We have all these posters that were done by community members, and people are speculating what they are. Well, they were all community like posters, which is badass, right? We're all inserted into the story throughout this journey, which is incredible. But what I see in that is that the team is so calculated and strategic in the way that they deliver messaging that you could see a video that says something right here that actually correlates to something that's posted 3 months later. And I think that that is what we're seeing, is that the Gucci material that we received is actually, that's the connection. It's used in the game, right? And the game, once it's out, and this is the big thing, is it's a long play. Like, yeah, we saw, you know, on Thursday, we got rugged real hard, and Friday, Queso found that, you know, alpha, which is Burn King for PFP. We're not getting that next week. If you think you're getting something next week, no way. In my opinion,
No.
like, this is going to be a long play, like what Diamondhandz was saying at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So be prepared for some copium if that's what your expectations are. And I'm just excited about what's being built out. But any other speculation around the material?
I mean, I think that's it, man. I think really the last thing is, like, my last thing is I hit on for just a quick moment is the physicals. Like, what? Let's just get a quick cap on that, and I think we pretty much beat the hell out of this dead horse. What do we think? Like, what do you guys think the likelihood of it being like a bag? Like, Gucci has amazing bags. They have amazing, like, outerwear. Obviously, everything from, like, clothes like that are sweaters to shirts, pants, socks, all that. So I'm trying to keep it in line with 10KTF though, and
dude,
what we use.
I'm expecting, you know, Gucci lined suits, bro, that I can wear to events. All right,
right, of course. See, let's hear Diamond, and then I'm gonna give you my thought on it. Go for it, Diamond.
So I don't know. The original, like, thought that I had on all this was that we would be able to craft our the original bags that we saw right back in October. They dropped a photo of some bags, right, and they like hinted like they were something, right, and then we found the Herschel's bags, which are a very close but also knowing that, like, the Louis Vuitton Christopher bags are there, right? Like, the way that I always thought about it back in the early days of this was like, what if you were able to there you had two options, right? Or additionally, keeping it wide open, you could craft the standard Herschel style bag, right? Or based on time of hold, right? We also know these items are marked as time hold, right? Time held. So if you've held for, say, a year or 18 months, right? Whatever that number might be, arbitrarily set at 2 years. We know that Beeple knows that like subscription value, right? Showing credit to the long-term holders. There's value in that, right? And so just knowing that, like, what if we could end up getting a Gucci bag out of that? Like, get a Gucci style, your own custom run. You're going to have to pay for it, y'all. We need to also understand this shit is not coming for free. Okay. As much as we all like want that, right? It's just the reality is there's a cost of production, right? While there's probably going to be a discount that, we know the company's going to do everything they can. But if you want to elevate to the Gucci, there's probably going to be a cost for that. 10K TF, yeah, we could talk with whatever the market price is built in. Okay. If you want that Gucci bag, it might cost a little for the leathers, materials, and the quality of craftsmanship you're going to get. But to have a one of one with your PFP, base this 10K TF with Gucci drip, like there's significant value in that for each of us, right? So that was my original thought around the way that might work.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think there are going to be options. I think they're going to have entry points, and I think it is going to cost something, as you said. I don't think that they're going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, here, this is free. Like, we had a whole bunch of extra stuff we just want to give away. But I think it's going to be essentially based around different types of consumers. Like, we see Dilly over there has the Gucci kicks in the background. I have no Gucci. I think this dollar store spider thing is actually Gucci because it wasn't $1 at the dollar store. No, for real though.
I stole all my stuff from the party, homie. So don't stress.
See,
all right.
There you go. See, Diamond and I, we ain't got no Gucci's, okay? But at the end of the day, I think they're gonna have different entry points of allowing you to maybe claim or pay a smaller fee for something that's a little bit more like flashier. Like, let's say for a free claim, they had like a pair of socks or like a wallet or something like that, because honestly those are probably some of the lowest, or earrings of some kind, like those are the lowest entry points. Belts, wallets, like smaller items are easier entry points into Gucci. But if you're looking at something that's maybe like a bag or something like that, I would imagine that that's either going to cost multiple mint passes or multiple pieces of cloth, or it's going to be determined on just essentially what they have as options. Like they're going to have a set amount, because exactly what Diamondhandz said, like production does cost money. So, and they're not going to set up an entire factory of like this production if this is like a one-off thing, so to speak. So that's also where maybe it's a continual thing. I don't know, where we see more Gucci stuff come through, but that's my thoughts. Maybe we'll have to use more than one item to combine to make even more prestigious items. Dilly, why don't you get it?
Yeah, I think one thing that, obviously to kind of build off of that, this really gets me kind of going on thinking of marketplaces, right? I think that when you build this and you have all these brands that you basically 10KTF is curating, right? It makes a lot of sense that you'd have a marketplace where you could actually like select the different levels of items that you actually want to be converted into a physical as well as a digital collectible, right? And so when you think of the broader ecosystem of what's being built out, the other side is a platform, okay? It's not a game. It's a platform where content creators will come, where items will be traded, they'll be created, they'll be curated, and they'll literally be bought, sold, and whatever you can ever imagine, right? And I think that is where we're going to see all of this converge. And that's where things get batshit, friends. That is where I think that we'll see that happen. But yeah, you want to, go ahead, Diamond.
Let me just tie on to that real quick. Yeah, like you said, it's a platform, right? So thinking about the layout of that platform, space within it, locations within it, right? Like knowing that these brands, we know how valuable land is in the sandbox, right? The premium that's put on land next to Snoop Dogg, right? Like knowing that these locations are going to be important. There's 100,000 plots and other deeds. That's one thing that I'm extremely hyped to be connected to 10KTF with. Like we've got speculation that we could have our own 10KTF land coming at some point. And if those those plots are based within whatever 10KTF is located in the other side, I've just got my fingers crossed. It's going to be a random draw. Right. I don't think there's any early alpha but knowing that they're partnered up, right? I do think there's going to be a center marketplace for the other side that there could be, right? And hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe 10 KTF just linked right next to that, So locationally, I think it bodes well just to be involved with these multiple, I don't know, just possibility, right? That's big time speculation.
Check this out. I mean, let's just tinfoil it up real quick, okay? The original 15,000 plots of land that were distributed to the developers, right? Whatever allocation that we knew actually was able to get their hands on, they're probably already building that out, and it's probably a separate island, that's not part of the mainland. That is New Tokyo, and right there, whenever we actually get access to being able to have a soul-bound token, right, that gives us access to the other side to earn that land, it's going to be built and attached to the original land on the New Tokyo island within the other side. Now, this upcoming, trip on the other side is called the Codex, right? It's going to actually show us how we travel between land, right? I think that it'll have some hints within, and I'm super excited to see how that kind of plays out. But yeah, that's kind of, building off theories, right?
I don't hold the other deed. So that 15,000 plot land drop for the early developers just fucking boom me, and fuck, that's exactly it. That's it, Dilly. That's the way they're working. That 10 KTF's already building on their land.
Oh, 100%.
I think that makes more sense than actually even the mech being used, like a PFP being used to garner you another deed on the other side. Honestly, like what you just said, because it connects back to ApeCoin. How the hell did we all get an ape allocation? It was because 10 KTF had some part, We Knew Labs, right? Had some part in like the ape allocation early on. Like they got a bunch of that as well. So they, instead of just taking that for themselves, I believe anyways, they distributed that amongst us, and obviously got a bunch of it back because of how many of the crates were bought and all that good stuff. So it seems almost similar in the same way that like if they got X amount of plots of land given to them for helping develop and guide them, Yuga Labs as them, into their course of action, building the other side out, then wouldn't they want to reward their core fans as well? Like what I'm saying is, like, if they got 10,000, they're like, okay, well, we're going to give 5,000 out, then we're going to sell the other 5,000 to like whitelist people so that we can still garner a profit off of this work that we did for them. Like, I don't know. What the fuck are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think it connects, and Maria Bajwa at Sound Ventures, an executive at Sound Ventures with Guy Osiri, is on the ApeCoin board. So that additional connection of how this ApeCoin, like, they're very tightly at the, like, they're pushing Web3 together, right? And so with what we're doing, building culture, no, I think it's a knockout. I think it's a home run. And so, like, that's not an accident that we're getting those bridges built and seeing that we still have our allocations distributed in the back alley right now. Like, I don't think that NTD, those distributions are done. I think we're going to have additional opportunities into the future.
So adding on to that, obviously, Genesis King burn, right? I don't think it's going to be mech PFPs. I think Kagami's makes sense to me. I think that you'll be able to actually, rep a Genesis PFP, right, moving forward, which is the 893 Genesis edition, right? But within that, it makes sense that it gives you access to the other side, right? And by actually completing the Voyager's journey with everybody else that's a Voyager within the other side that already owns a deed, you'll be rewarded. But the person, basically the wallet that will receive the land, is actually the developers, which is We Knew, who's already building out their land. And if it actually is the mirror of the other side, where those Voyagers are rewarded with land, obviously they'll get their second land, but at the same time, We Knew will be dropped their second land, which then they can actually allocate directly out to the holders that participated in that Voyager's journey. And the reason that all aligns is based on supply, right? If you have supply and you think about the participation, you only have so many people that are actually going to go on that Voyager's journey. So you reward the participants, which reduces the number of land plots that actually need to be allocated directly out. Go ahead, ABOMB. You're losing it. I know it.
We're building.
I just pooped my pants. I pooped my pants here on the couch. No. Okay, man. Like, the next part of the Voyager's journey is the Codex, right? We've also seen recently from the other side that, like, interdimensional, like, split, right? Like, there's one wormhole and another wormhole. You farted off and got the fucking coded bottle. But, like, if we've heard like and we see the other side, their logo, it's like other side, then other side upside down, mirrored, right? It's fucking mirrored. We just saw mirrors
Kagami?
in the boxes, bro. What if a Kagami or a portal that we see happening in 10KTF of some kind causes if this is just one dimension, it causes an alternate dimension split where it is mirrored. And that is essentially how we get involved. I don't know, bro. That's just what you got me thinking over here. I'm like, you said mirrored, and I was like, bro, Kagamis are mirrors. Kagami means mirror in Japanese. So like, maybe we've underestimated these Kagamis heavily and what their capability is. You know what I mean?
It's the connection to the other side.
I mean, we haven't even fucking really discussed that. I honestly, I haven't anyways. I haven't heard anyone talk about like if the mirror's actually, because we saw Wagmi-san working on the mirror. Like we've seen him working on it. What the fuck
He's been working on it forever, bro.
Yeah, what do they do? Like
he's like in the middle of a battlefield. He's like tweaking these fucking mirrors, bro.
And then we know Wagmi works through portals, right? Like portals, portal. We're going to portal all over the place. Hopefully in the codex, whenever they're showing you all how to portal, hopefully they include Wagmi zipping through his big portal through NYC too. With some physicals, right? And Kagamis and the drop. Who knows? Fingers crossed.
I think that's it, man. I think that's like somehow like that. And wouldn't that maybe yield a potential new hero? Like the mech was our hero. That thing's fucked now. So like if we somehow open up a portal and a coda comes through and it's like, hey, what's going on? Is it blah, 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 like, you know, and it does what it needs to do. I don't know, man. Like I think the Kagamis are much, much more powerful.
It's the key.
They're so influential. And I think we've like literally just like right over our heads. You know what I mean? Like I at least for mine, because I haven't even thought about that. Like I don't know.
Is the Kagami item 13?
Bro,
there needs to be an NFT for it, right? You can't just like fucking introduce it to the market without an NFT, right?
And if it is an ER 1155, that makes sense, because if you're actually burning your PFP onto the Kagami, right? I mean, I don't know, just an idea. But let's I think
just throwing it out there.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. I mean, I don't know if
Probably
you guys
nothing.
expected, this to turn into the Kagami talk. I mean, ABOMB, did you have that on your list? Did you?
I did not. Let me scroll.
Oh,
hang on. Let me check my list.
I didn't.
Yeah. No, didn't have it on for me either, actually. But this is the way we do, right? We build. And this has been really beautiful. I really appreciate y'all bringing me on tonight. I can't say thank you enough. Really appreciate it.
When this all comes to fruition, we're gonna be like, bro, fucking go check out the space we did that, like, whatever with Diamondhandz that one night, and then we fucking called it, man. Like, oh my god, dude, thank you for being here, bro. It's been an epic conversation. I hope that all the viewers gain something from this, other than the fact that we are just degens that get excited about things. I'm gonna let Dilly or Diamond close us out or say some last words, and then I'll close us out.
I just want to say thanks for watching another amazing video. Kind of all over the place. We talked about speculation of Puma, a little bit about the other side. Our main focus, obviously, on the Gucci material, but overall, I mean, this is what you can expect each and every week from Speculation Alley. Is we're gonna dig deep, we're gonna pull up some points, make connections, and hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about the past history of 10KTF alongside, what our future outlook may look like. And so, if you like this content, definitely like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get a notification when we drop a new video, and you can expect new videos each and every single Wednesday. So, speculators, keep speculating. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Diamond, do you have anything you want to say to close us out before you go?
Oh, yeah. No, appreciate y'all having me on. Been amazing. We got, if you're not already subscribed to the damn show, like hit that double like. Go find the damn show one time. I got to do that plug.
Get it.
New Tokyo rumors, like everything, man. Let's plug it all.
10KTFM, Keegan on the Tuesday space. What else do we got? There's one that we're missing right now. Oh, New Tokyo News. Every Sunday, baby, the OG, right? Like I founded that mug, right? Jeez.
Yes.
Hey, while we do decent with the speculation, it's not that we're all put together. That's degening out here, all right? It's been wonderful, guys. I can't say thank you enough. Let's see if we can get one bucket. Oh, good money on the way out the door, baby. We get buckets out here.
All right, baby. That means Kagamis are for sure.
And real quick, yeah, we better get a fucking one time on. Woo! And one time, real quick, even though I don't know when you guys go to print with this, but it is Netta's birthday on our production date. So happy birthday, Netta. Maybe Netta, an absolute community legend. We love you so much, girl. Hope you're having all the best fun out there in New York.
Yeah, happy birthday, maybe. I love you so much. I remember when I first met you, just epic first time meeting, and I'm excited to meet this kid live in person, Diamondhandz, because he's an absolute legend. That being said, guys, I'm going to close this out. My name is ABOMB. We've had an awesome time here with you. Obviously, I have my co-host Cryptodilly. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Diamondhandz here with us on the long tour of Speculation Alley. We did go down a couple different sleuths, but we hope you enjoyed them, and be on the lookout for more of that content to come. We'll be here every single Wednesday. We are over and out. Have a nice night.